Hi everyone, welcome to module number 5. Module number 5 is all about customer insight journeys. So far, we have gone through emails, we've gone through text messages, we've gone through the templates, we've also touched base on the content blocks in the previous module. And now that we have, some emails and SMS, we want to go ahead and create journeys. But let's start with what are journeys, right? And what are the two types of journeys that you can create in customer insight journeys, right? The first one is a trigger-based journeys that react to customers' actions. For example, if a customer fills out a form or registers to an event, based on that trigger, you can actually trigger a journey, right? You can send them an email or an SMS. The other one is a segment based journey. Segments that we've created in the module earlier, that can actually be used in your journey. Remember, we've created contact with an account of Contoso Ltd. We can use the segments and actually create a journey with it. So there's two types of journeys that you can create. You can create the segments. You can also create the triggers as well. So I know that in the previous two modules, we've only touched base on the segments, emails, and templates. We haven't really touched base on the triggers. So what I would like to do in this module is before we move on to journeys, let's start with triggers and what type of triggers are available to you. So once we understand triggers, then we can go back to journeys and actually start to create one segment-based journey and one trigger-based journey. Okay, so we are on the triggers area. You can see in the view, you've got custom triggers, you've got Dataverse triggers, and then you've got standard triggers. Let's start with standard triggers. So these are the out-of-the-box standard triggers that Microsoft has already provided to you. It is taking a little bit longer to load, but we'll wait for it. So standard triggers are things that are out of the box. So you've got a few different things here. You've got behavioral standard triggers. So for example, if an email has been opted out, that's a trigger. So if a user has received an email from you, they've clicked on unsubscribe, they've gone to the preference page area that we talked about in module number 2, and they've opted out. As soon as they click on opt out and they submit the form, you can actually create a trigger based on that, right? You can also do one for email blocked, email CC sent, email content not given. If an email has been delivered, you can sort of understand and start to get a good idea that all of these are actually behavioral triggers, right? And then if we scroll down just a little bit more, you'll start to see a bit more standard triggers that are related to marketing events registration. Remember at the start, we said that there is an events planning area. So if your use case is about creating events and things like that, before you create a custom trigger, have a look at the standard triggers because what you're looking for might already exist and might actually be ready for you to use, right? So instead of creating something new, always look at the standard triggers and see if the actions that you need to trigger your journey already exist. You've also got text messages as well. Text message bounced, consent not given, a text message delivered, text message link clicked. So you've got a bunch of out of the box standard triggers. So start here first. If your trigger is not in the standard, have a look at the Dataverse triggers as well, because it may actually be in here as well. Because Dataverse triggers, what this means is these are usually on the either the lead, the opportunity, or the contact, or some of the activities, like for example a phone call or a task. So have a look at the Dataverse triggers as well and see if what you need is already actually there for you as well. So things like the contact address has been updated. So if a contacts, I'm going to open up the contact in a new tab. So if the contact address is updated, then a Dataverse trigger can actually trigger a journey that can probably send them an email, right? Or anything saying, hey, we received and an email address update. This is just an FYI that your email has been updated. Anything you would like, you can use this if that's the trigger that you're looking for. Same thing for contact business phone number updated. So if we go to the contact table, now that the tab is loaded, we can see here that the contact address, what this will trigger is as soon as you add a contact address here, and it's updated, then this can actually be triggered. Same thing for phone number. If a phone number gets updated or you add a new phone number, it can also trigger as well. If a contact has been created, so if I go new contact right now and create a new contact, this is actually a trigger that can also trigger an email or an SMS as well. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and create a new contact, because when we get to the journey area, we're going to do one Dataverse trigger, which is going to be when a new contact gets created, and we're going to do one segment. Our segments are already ready, remember, because we have created them in the previous modules. So let's go ahead and create a new contact. We're going to go and say first name will be Malik, last name will be Spire. We're going to say the email. We're going to give him an email of, let's see, digital media@gmail.com. And then we're going to give him a phone number, just any number really. And then we're not going to save it right now, because remember, in order for us to use this, we need to link it to a journey, right? So we're going to just create the details, but we're not going to save the record. We're going to come back to it later, and you'll know why. And then we've got other ones like the contact email address has been updated, the incident has been created, lead has been created. So similar to contact has been created, you can do one for lead as well. A phone call status has been updated in the task area. So there is a few Dataverse triggers that are available to you that are out of the box, that are actually ready for you to use as well in a journey. Last one is a custom trigger. So what is a custom trigger? So now that you had a look at the standard triggers, the Dataverse triggers, if none of those meet your your business use case, you might have to create a brand new custom trigger. So a custom trigger is great, as it says, when you can't see what you need or the trigger that you're looking for. So go ahead and create a new trigger, give it a name. So whatever trigger that you're trying to, whatever action that needs to be met for the trigger to initiate, give it a name. And then what I want you to focus on really is these two options and the what action will activate this trigger. The first one, when a record related to a customer is created or updated. This does not require code integration by the developer. So what this is saying is you are going to be using a Dataverse table that will trigger this custom trigger. So what they're saying is you're either going to use the contact or you're going to use the lead, and any of the fields or any of the relationships in the contact table or the lead table can actually initiate this trigger. And the good thing about this first option is that it's in-house, right? You already have the Dataverse inside the platform. The second one, however, is when a customer interacts with a website or an app, this requires code integration by the developer. So what this is saying is if the fields or if what makes the trigger if sorry if what initiates the trigger is not available inside the customer insight journeys, then you will need to actually do it on an external website. Like for example, if you have a business website, let's say it's an e-commerce website, and you want a custom trigger when someone makes a purchase, right, on the checkout. It's a custom trigger. So they're in the checkout page. They've added a few products in. So they've added their credit card details, whatever. And as soon as they click on purchase, that's as soon as you want to send a email after the purchase has been made, right? But that trigger is coming from the website, so it's an external one. So you can actually modify and you can actually create a custom trigger for that particular action, and your developer will need to add attributes that you mentioned in the checkout page, so that when it's finished, it actually triggers it. So let's go ahead and actually create that custom trigger now. The Dataverse one, pretty straightforward. Once you know what, let's do a Dataverse one. We're gonna say when the contact status is inactive, or when a contact is set to inactive. So what we're saying here is when a contact is set to inactive, meaning the contact has been it's no longer active. Go ahead and trigger this, right? And then let's have a look at the next steps. We've given a name of what the trigger is going to do, and then you need to look at this one. In which table is the record created or updated? Of course, it's the contact. So we're going to go ahead and pick the contact. And then the last two options are here is who's the audience for this trigger? It's going to be the contact, right? Or you can also do the lead, of course, or the contact itself as well. But I'm going to choose just the contact. And then the most important one is the which attribute contains the audience, and this is going to be the parent contact. Of course, you can do other fields like the company name or the parent or custodians, but I'm going to go with the parent contact. And then lastly, when is the trigger activated? So when does the trigger actually get activated? So you need to pick a specific field. You have a few options. When a new record was created, when an existing record was updated, or any of the above. So let's start with the first one. So a new record was created. This trigger will only trigger when a new contact is created. Second one, an existing record was updated. The contact already exists. Something has been updated while it's already there. And the last one, any of the above, either this one or this one. I'm going to say when an existing record was updated because, as for my scenario, a contact becomes active when it's created, but it becomes inactive when it already exists, right? So it makes sense that it's an existing record was as updated is when this will be triggered. Last attribute is which attribute update should activate the trigger. And the field for that is the status field in the contact. So I'm going to go ahead and go find the status field. It will be this one. And then I'm going to click on ready to use at the top. You just have to wait for a few seconds. It's going to save. Cool. So my trigger or Dataverse trigger is currently getting ready. So you just have to wait for another few more seconds. But the most important thing that you might have captured is, hey, even though that I'm expecting the contact or this custom trigger, this Dataverse trigger to be initiated when it's inactive, but it's only for when the attribute status code gets changed. Then, as you know, the status code can be active or inactive. So I still need to add a condition. And don't worry, once we put this trigger in the journey, you'll be able to modify that in there as well. At the moment, our Dataverse trigger is actually in a state of ready to use. So we're very much happy with it. So let's go back to triggers and create the custom trigger now for the last bit here. So I'm going to say new trigger. And instead of Dataverse, I'm going to pick custom trigger. So I'm going to pick the second one. And I want to say, let's say, when a contact form is submitted on our website, maybe it's maximum 40. Okay, so let's see, when a contact form is submitted on site. There you go. I'm going to click on create. So I've added my title. It's very important to add a description as well so that your team members who are also working on this with you can understand what actually happens when this gets triggered. So I'm going to say maybe um, when a contact form is submitted on, I don't know, XYZ Ltd company, a email is sent to the contact. There you go. So let's go ahead and add the attribute. So what do we need once this form gets submitted on the website? Customer data is always going to be pointing to the contact. If you're dealing with lead, you can pick lead as well. In terms of attribute, what I'm interested in is in the form, I want to know who the name is. So I'm going to say contact name. I'm going to have that as a text attribute, data type. And then I'm going to maybe say the email of the contact. I'm going to use that as a text as well. And then maybe I'll say the time, time of submission. I'll pick date and time. And then once I'm happy with that, if I want to, maybe in the contact form, you had a description field where the contact has added some description about why they reaching out. I want to say give me that as well in the text. And instead of I'm going to change the description here actually and say when a contact form is submitted on XYZ, send an email to I don't know, the website admin for lead. Yeah, sure, why not? And there you go. So now that I'm happy with this, I'm going to say next. So what I'm doing here is I'm basically saying in the custom trigger, when this form gets submitted, give me these attributes so that I can reuse them in the email that I'll be sending later. And then now the last bit really is to share your code to the developer, and then they will need to embed this code into the website. And then once that integration is done, then you can set this to live, which is actually being set to getting ready. It will just take another 30 seconds. And then, once integration is done, and as soon as the form gets submitted, this will trigger. And then you can use any of these attributes in the email as a personalization as well. So in this case, in this use case, you can create a custom email where you say a new form has been submitted, customer's name, and then you can put that there, link it, description, you can link it, the email of the contact, you can link it, date of time submission, you can link it, and then the website admin can actually receive that as well. If you want to see where the code snippet is, you can click on go to code snippet, and then your developer has a few different types of options depending on what they are currently dealing with. So you have the option for Python, you have the option for C#, you've got JavaScript, if it's an app, you've got the iOS or Mac, and then of course you've got Android as well. Don't let this scare you off because custom triggers is technically still functional. You can still create the attributes and the data type. Last really bit is just passing the code snippet to the web developers, right, or the software developers, and then they can embed that into the page where the trigger is happening, and then you can actually manually test this. You can actually test this right here as well under test set. All you need to do is attach a contract, enter some details in here, and then you can link your custom trigger to a journey, which we'll do now as well. Okay, cool. So let me go back to triggers. Before we move on to journeys, we've learned different types of triggers. We've learned what a standard triggers are. So standard triggers, out of the box, they're already available to you based on behaviors, based on things that are already coming with the platform. And then we've looked at Dataverse triggers, so any of the contacts, leads, anything that you really have, any attributes. And then you also got custom triggers. If anything if there's something that you're looking for that are not in the Dataverse triggers or standard triggers, or maybe the actual trigger that you're looking for is an external is actually happening outside of the customer insight journeys. You can go ahead and create that as well as a custom trigger. So now that we have a Dataverse trigger, and we also have a custom trigger, and we also have a segments. Remember, don't forget about segments. We created that in module number 3, I believe. We can go ahead and create these journeys. So I'm in the journeys area. Before we do that, I guess let's just talk about what is it. I mean, you can kind of see what journeys are, right? You can create two different types of journeys. So if I go to new journeys, you'll see here it will give you an option of picking where this journey kicks off. Does it kick off from the segment, or does it kick off from the custom trigger? So if I just go skip this, it's asking me to use Copilot. You can play around with it, but I'm going to skip that for now. You can choose the type of journey that you would like. You can do a trigger based, which is the what we've just talked about in the triggers, or you could do a segment based, which is the segments that we created as well. So we're going to start with the segments, right? We're going to start easy first. We're going to say the segments. We're going to go in and pick our segment. So if we hit enter, remember we've got contacts with an account of Contoso Ltd. There's 3 members in there. I'm going to select that. Oops, I don't want the other one. Just that one there, thank you. And then under the frequency, you've got a few options. A one-time journey with a static audience. So basically in this journey, if you pick the static one, anyone who meets the condition for the segments becomes static. It's just a one-time journey. As soon as this journey sends, it would never send again because it's a static audience, and it's a one-time journey as well. The second one is a one-time journey where newly added audience members can start anytime. What this means is that in the segments that you have, if a new contact meets the condition of that segment and they go into the segment, then the journey can kick off because you have a new people who meet the condition, right? So this is a one-time journey where anyone who's new can actually, start anytime. As long as they meet the condition, the journey can fire off. And this is the one that you'll most likely use every time. And then lastly, you've got a repeating journey where all audience members repeat the same journey every one day, weeks, or month. So this is a particular business use case as well that you might do. And of course, you've got time zone. You can pick the time zone that you're in. So I'm going to pick Melbourne for sake of this demo, and then the start date will be when would you like to actually start the trigger. The end date, if there's any end dates, you can pick it. I'm going to say, nope, it's okay. And I'm going to say the start date will be today, but it's not really 8 p.m. So I'm going to pick 7 p.m. Where is 7 p.m.? There you go. Add this to 6:20. There you go. Cool. And then I'm going to name our journey because it's really important to name the journey, right? So that people know. I'm going to say the journey is about contacts with an account of Contoso Ltd journey. So when someone looks at this journey, they know exactly what this journey is. And I'm going to click on create. Fantastic. All right. So at the very top, you can see that what triggers this journey is the segments, right? On the right-hand side, we can see that the segment is attached. We've got a little message here that says the selected segment is not ready to use. It's either in a draft or has been deactivated. So let's go and check it out. Maybe we have not put the segments live. So if we click on the segments, it's going to load for a little bit. And you can see that it's actually in a draft state. So we need to go ahead and put it into ready to use so that it's ready for us to associate it to that journey. So I'm going to quickly change the time zone to Melbourne, and then I'm going to save and set it to ready to use. Cool, that's getting it ready. All right, cool. Our journey is ready to go. So I'm going to close it off. I'm going to save, and this error should now go away. Cool. Now that we have what triggers the journey, what are we going to do? Are we going to send an email? Are we going to send a text message? This is when it gets a bit exciting. What would you like to do with your audience? So if I click on this button here, this plus icon, you can see all of the actions that are available to you. It starts with messages. So let's start with that. Messages. What's available to you in the journey? You can send an email. You can send a text message. You can send a push notification. Or you can choose other channels that are custom. If we have a look at AI powered action, you can do A/B test. So you can test messages or channels against each other, which is quite cool for those of you in marketing space. You will know what AP test means. So essentially, what you're doing is you've got two different things, and you're testing which one performs better. So you're doing two A/B tests, right? You've got channel optimization, so it uses AI to select the best channel for each person. So this is actually quite cool because you are basically letting AI do the work, right? You're saying, hey, based on this contact, where are they good at? Are they opening emails or are they opening SMS? Where do they engage with us more? Do they engage with us in SMS or emails or even push notification? So it does the job for you based on data, right? And then you've got conditions. So in terms of conditions, you've got wait time, you've got wait for a trigger. You've got series, so you can send a series of messages until a condition has been met. You've got attribute branch, and then you've also got audience split. So the wait time, pretty straightforward. You just wait for a specific time, and then as soon as the time finishes, it will go and do the next thing. Wait for a trigger. It's going to wait for another trigger to trigger. And then this one, series, it basically sends a series of messages until a condition in those messages have been met. Attribute branch. So you've got a branch based on specific values. So, for example, if the contact has opted in to receive emails only, that's a specific branch, right? It will go to email. If they've done and said, nope, I actually only want to receive SMS, then it will go to the other branch, which is SMS. So that's an attribute of branch. And then you've got audience split. So it splits the audience based on number or percentage. So you can say, I want, 50% of my contacts to go to email and 50% of my contacts to go to SMS. And it will just do the numbers for you, which is quite cool as well. In terms of activities, you have the phone call and then you've also got the task. So you can create and assign a phone call activity to the sales team. So in the journey, as soon as your actions finishes, maybe you can create a phone call for the sales team to pick it up, or you can create a task directly and assign it to someone as well. And lastly, you've got connectors. So connectors, you can activate a custom trigger. So it goes back to triggers again, but this time it's actually with Power Automate Flows. And for those of you who know about Power Automate Flows, fantastic, because you'll be able to add this connector and then you can trigger a Microsoft Power Automate Flow. For those of you who do not know much about Power Automate Flow, it's okay. Once you learn a bit more about it, then you'll see it. But its Power Automate Flow is basically similar to Journeys. It starts off with a trigger and it does your actions as well, which is quite cool. For this demo, we're going to say, let's actually go ahead and send an email. So we're going to add an email through our segments. And as you remember, we've created two emails before. We've created email for Contoso Ltd, and then we've also had the auto confirmation. So what are we going to do? Which one are we going to pick? Let's go with email for Contoso Ltd. And then, of course, the email needs to be live. We did put it to live in order to associate it to the journey. What else would we like to do? Do we want to send an SMS, or do we just say, nope, that's it? I think we're just going to say just an email, but you can kind of see the amount of options that are available to you, right? Once you're ready, you can publish that journey, and we've got two errors. So let's have a look. It says a message marked as a draft cannot be. So it looks like the email that I was saying is actually not live yet. So let's go and take care of that now. I'm clicking on it, and it looks like the email may be draft. All right, so let's go ahead and put the email to ready to send. Every time you put the email to ready to send, it validates that everything is good to go. Oh, it's saying I need a subject, so let's go ahead and add a subject. We're going to say test Contoso. I'm going to add a sender. This is the trial account, so I'm going to be using the default brand profile. I'm going to save. And then it's gonna say ready to send. It may give me a few more other errors as well because I'm missing. Did you get it right? I'm missing the compliance profile. It's mandatory and the purpose as well. So every email that goes out needs a compliance profile. So let's go ahead and add that in. We're gonna go ahead and choose the default, and then we're gonna say this is a. We'll just say it's a transactional one for now. And then we're going to put it to ready to send. It may give me another error because sometimes you might need to add the company's address and things like that as well to actually send an email. But nope, it actually allowed me to go through with this one. So we're going to say we are happy, and as soon as this refreshes, we can go back to the journey. Cool, done. All right, exit out. We've got the email there. Let's try again and publishing it. So give it a quick refresh. The time has passed, so let me just add this to 6:30. There you go. Save and then publish. Fantastic! You published your first journey. So remember, the journey is a segment, and what we're doing is we're sending an email. Of course, the other journey that we're going to create is the Dataverse trigger. So once this is live, we can come back to it. So it's actually publishing now. So if we go to the journeys, we can see here it's in a status of publishing. Once publishing finishes, it will go into live, meaning anyone who meets that condition in that segment will actually be sent an email, which is quite cool. All right, so the next journey that we wanted to create is the Dataverse trigger. So let's go and create a new journey. We're going to skip this. Remember when I created a new contact, but I have not saved it? Because we are going to be doing a trigger base now. We're going to go and find that out of the box trigger for when a contact is created. So if I just type in contact, I'm hoping to see contact created is there. Fantastic. And I'm going to say when a contact is created, send a welcome email journey. All right, so there you go. Contact is created. I'm going to click on create. We've got our trigger there. It's out of the box. I'm going to change the time zone again, and then we want to send. This time we want to do a wait time. Let's just say that we want to wait. We're going to add a wait time of a specific time. So the options that are available to you is a set amount of time, until a specific date and time, or until a time specified by a trigger. I'm going to go with the first one and just say, instead of 1 hour, I'm just going to say wait for about maybe 1 minute before you send the actual email. So we're going to go ahead and we don't have a welcome email, but pretend that the order confirmation is the welcome email for now. We're going to save. In real life case scenario, you'll obviously you need to make sure that you have the relevant email for the journey. So once that's done, we are happy to publish this. So I'm going to click on publish. And we're going to demo this because we have a contact already ready to go, right? As soon as we save it, it becomes created contact, right? Malik is added to the CRM system, which means it should trigger this out of the box trigger, right? Because it triggers when a contact is created. So once this is published and it's live, we can actually have a look at that as well. The other journey that I wanted to create was so we've done the Dataverse one. Let me go back to triggers just so we can see which ones that we've created. So we started off with standard triggers. We've got one for when a contact is created. No, these are all behaviors. My bad. So we don't have one for standard triggers, but that's okay. We've created one for Dataverse one. So for Dataverse, we've got one when the contact is set to inactive. So maybe we can create the last journey once we fire the other trigger, which creates the contact. And then the one that we've also about to test is when a contact gets created, which is fantastic. We also created a custom trigger. We can trigger it, but obviously, as you know, this one requires the integration with the website, so we won't actually be able to trigger it. But once you embed this into the site, you should be able to trigger it as well. All right, cool. So back to the journeys. Let's see if our journeys are live now. So, all right, cool. So all two of them are live, which is fantastic. When a contact is created, it's live. So what I'm going to do now is actually save this record because I should create Malik. That should trigger this journey. It does take about 40 seconds to a minute for it to really appear in here. But Malik should receive an email of this auto confirmation after waiting for about a minute. So we've just created Malik. It's all good to go. So we're going to refresh this soon. But let's go back to the other one as well. So we're multitasking here, right? We're going to go back to the other journey, which is the segments one. That's the one that we've also created as well. That's what triggers it. So let's have a look at the segments. We've set the time to 6:30, so it's almost 6:30 soon. So this should also trigger as well, and all the contacts in it should receive it. This analytics area is actually very helpful as well because it tells you a few things. It tells you the inflow means the amount of people who are currently in the journey who are about to go through. Processing means it's in the stages of being processing. Processed means it's done, it has sent an email, and exit means it has been exit out. So the contact has automatically been exit out of the journey for whatever reason. It could be because you've added an exclusion or the segments or anything like that as well. So yeah, we just have to wait for a few minutes to really see, and then we can see hopefully some numbers coming in the inflow. Okay, well, there we go. That was quick. Let me refresh it one more time to see how many people we have going through the journey. So I want to give it a refresh. This is the segments one. So what we're saying is all the contacts with an account of Contoso. There's about 29 inflows and 29 processed. So let's have a look at the email analytics. If we scroll down just a little bit here, all of them should be in the sent area. So let me just go to delivery and interactions details, and you can see 29 emails has been sent. Of course, these are all demo emails, so just be careful with the type of segments that you create, especially if you are a business user who's in a production environment. But if this is your trial account, then it's okay. These are all contacts that are fake contoso.com. Really, it's all demo contact. But yeah, you can see all the contact has been sent. You can see the profiles. You can see the profile type. It's a contact, and none of them has been marked as spam as well, which is great. So that's the. Let's see if we can match the number to the segment. So this is the contact with an account of Contoso Ltd. 29 contacts have gone through. If we go to the segments area and find that segment, let's see if we can match the numbers to what has been sent. So once this loads, I'm going to go Contoso with an account of, yep, that's the one. It is live, which is fantastic. And then if we go to members and insights, I just want to see. Yeah, there we go. It matches with the numbers. So 29 members are actually in the segments. What that means is they have met the criteria of status is active, so the contact is active, and the account is from Contoso Ltd. So 29 members and 29 members have also received and went through the journey, which is fantastic. Let's have a look at the other journey. Remember, we had one for when a contact is created, and we've created Malik as well. So we are expecting to see one journey that goes through here, which is, oh, there you go, contact created, one inflow, fantastic. We had to do a bit of a wait time, and that went through fine as well. And that contact has received the email. So let's click on the delivery funnel, and then we can see if the contact who has received it is actually Malik, because that's the contact that we created. So, oh, it has not been sent. So let's go and find out why. If we click on flow details and then, oh, it's still processing. Okay, we have to wait another 30 seconds. So the only time you should check this really is once it's in a processed area. So inflow means it's in the journey, processing means it's just about to send it, and processed means it's fully sent it. So we just have to be a little bit more patient, give it another refresh. And hopefully now this should be in the processed, or maybe there is something wrong because the contact doesn't have the relevant uh, topics, because it may be this email may be a commercial one. That's why they might have not received it. If we click on it again, it doesn't say anything. If we have a look at the timeline and refresh for Malik, there's no email, which means it's still inflow. So maybe we can check it out in the next couple of minutes. But we can see that it has gone into the inflow as well. But that is the journey. So we've learned that there's two types of journeys that you can create. You can create using the segments, or you can create using triggers. And in terms of triggers, we've learned that there's a few types of triggers. You've got the standard triggers, you've got the Dataverse triggers, and then you've also got the custom triggers as well. So in terms of use case, it just really depends on where your data is. So if your data is inside customer insights, always start with segments, because you have them already inside the customer insight. Sometimes if you need something that triggers instantly, then a Dataverse trigger will be good. Like for example, we had the contact created. So if you want to send a welcome email to contact as soon as it's created in CRM, a Dataverse trigger will actually be perfect because it already exists. An out of the box one already exists for you. So always have a look at the out of the box triggers before you start to create custom triggers. And yeah, that's how you create journeys and customer insights. Thank you so much for. I know this one was a bit long. Hopefully that made sense. Let's have a look at that journey, just to see if we have received the email. What is it? Well, no, not that one. When it currently, yeah, this one here, top one. So if we click on the order confirmation, oh yeah, there you go. It looks like it's actually going through now. So if we click on that, you should see, oh, there you go, it's processed. Cool. All right, there you go. And we can see that the contact that we created was Malik, and you can see Malik Xfire is there. The profile ID matches with the profile ID here as well, which is fantastic. And it's been processed at 6:33 p.m. on the 6/09/2025, which is fantastic to see as well. All right, cool. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to add some resources in regards to journeys, so please review those as well. If you have any questions, leave them in the demo as well. All right, thanks, team. See you on the next one.